Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first battle of the playoffs of the PDL, or at least the first battle for us, because of course this is week 2 of the playoffs, but we did get to bypass week 1 because the Cleveland Escavaliers managed to have the highest record in the division that we were in, so we got to advance to week 2 of the playoffs instantly. And so here we are with the battle against Sublime Maniac and the San Antonio Espurrs. We did play them in the original weeks of the PDL, one of our toughest battles, I have to say. And so I'm definitely looking forward to this one. If you didn't see the team builder, that actually should have gone up earlier today because I said I was going to get that thing out on Saturday, but unfortunately things didn't work out. Ended up getting it up just today, and this should be going up late Sunday night. So yeah, we're going to be playing Sublime, and if you haven't seen the team builder that did go up today, you can go watch that to see what team we're running. It is actually the same 6 Pokemon that we brought to the battle that we had with him in the original weeks. However, we do have some different sets, some different twists, and hopefully he won't see them coming. So hopefully we can catch him off guard with some of the neat tech that we have hidden on our team. Um, yeah, I think that's just about all I have to say. So we're going to hop right into the battle in just a second. Um, Let me just challenge him real quick. And yeah, let's get this show on the road as soon as he accepts. And geez, I hope he didn't send the. Maybe he sent a request at the same time. Let me check. Yeah, okay, he was also sending a request at the same time. All right, so now we're the show on the getting the show on the road. So before, of course, um, before we get right into the battle, I can just do a quick rundown of the 6 we're bringing. They are right here: Zapdos, Clefable, Escavalier, Tangela, Nidoking, and Mega Gyarados. And yeah, a lot of bulk on this version of the team. So we're going to play a little bit stallier, I guess you could say. Hopefully, nobody gets mad at me if this battle takes even longer than the last one. If you didn't watch the last one, it was a 50-minute battle. It was pretty intense, though. Uh, but yeah, we're going to hopefully do a lot of residual here. He seems to have brought the same 6 as well, so that's pretty. I mean, not like reassuring because obviously it was a tough battle last time, but um, it it basically means that I think my 6 have the capabilities of taking everything out. I am okay with leading Nidoking because it doesn't really lead poorly against everything. It does have the Focus Sash, so I eat any one hit. He doesn't have any multi-hit moves, bar possibly Bullet Seed from Ferroseed, but of course I do have the Flamethrower. I outspeed, I max speed on this thing, so I don't have to worry about that. And we can just get up a Toxic Spike instantly. He did not bring his um, Mantine, which is great because that was his only potential defogger. Again, Tapu Koko cannot run defog because the tutor moves from Ultra Sun and Ultra Move are still illegal in this format. This is only Sun and Moon legal Pokemon. So he leads his Tapu Koko exactly the same as last time. I think he might actually just go for a light screen because last time he did show that he was light screen. He was dual screen Tapu Koko. So I'm actually just going to set up my Toxic Spikes again. He can't get rid of them, so this is going to be really helpful in the long run. Plus, Tapu Koko's stabs are both, well, electric. Nidoking is immune to electric and resists fairy, so its stab moves aren't going to do very much. So unless it has like Hidden Power Ice, Tapu Koko doesn't even really threaten Nidoking right now, so I'm okay with setting up a Toxic Spike and then proceeding to attack. If he does set up a screen, though, I might even just set up 2 Toxic Spikes, because that'll be really helpful for Zygarde. And, Zygarde and Rapidash. He withdraws Tapu Koko, okay. Into the Zygarde, that's fine. This basically just gives me free Toxic Spikes. They're not free, they use up 1 PP of Toxic Spikes. But since they're not going away, yeah, that PP is fine. And I assume he's actually just going to go for 1,000 arrows here because, yeah, I assume he's going to go for a hard 1,000 arrows here because I have the potential to have Ice Beam. He did see I had Ice Beam last time, so I think he'll assume I have it again, and I do have it. However, I do also have the Focus Sash, so I won't go down to his 1,000 arrows. So I will just click Ice Beam if I want get a kill here. That's just fantastic. Yep, he just goes straight for the 1,000 arrows. He could be a bulkier variant of Zygarde this time and be able to live it since I'm not Life Orb. But, oh, he's Yachi. Okay, that's fine. This still will do about 50%, so this basically prevents it from being able to set up. It also means he can't switch it into a waterfall anymore. I'm actually going to save Nidoking because we do have this Tangela. And he can't set up anymore. He basically has to attack. I assume he's just going to go hard for the 1,000 arrows again. He wouldn't want to go for a Dragon type move when I do have the Clefable. Actually goes for the Extreme Speed. Okay, that's a fair play too, but that won't do very much to Tangela. And I can Hidden Power Ice here. His best play would probably be going into Rapidash. I could also Leech Seed, but I don't. Yeah, I don't need to make any predictions because I do have the Toxic Spikes up, and that's going to help a ton. It does kind of hurt that the Rapidash will only be regular poisoned instead of badly poisoned, but it's not the worst thing in the world. And we do get a little bit of chip with this thing. So yeah, that does about 10% along with the 12% from the poison. So it's already at 75% about. And we can switch right into our Zapdos. This is our physical wall. It will take Flare Blitz relatively easily. However, maybe not Flare Blitz into Inferno Overdrive. So maybe we can burn, maybe we can bait the, oh. So it goes for the Will-O-Wisp. We dodge, which is a bit lucky. However, our physical damage, it doesn't matter too much because our physical attack doesn't, we're a special attacker. So hindering our physical attack doesn't matter, and the leftovers cancels out the burn damage. So we can just go for a Volt Switch here. I actually did remember to put Volt Switch on my Zapdos this time, guys, so we don't have to worry about accidentally clicking Thunderbolt. This will do big damage to the Rapidash if it wants to stay in. It'll do like 50%, and then on top of Toxic, it'll either be left low or he goes for the Morning Sun here. Yeah, so he does go for the Morning Sun. He wants to keep his Rapidash as healthy as possible. This will still do about 50%. Unfortunately, Zapdos doesn't get the benefit of the electric terrain since it is a flying type. But that's okay because Zapdos' natural 125 base special attack does allow it to do about that much damage. And I'm actually going to go into Gyarados here because I do have the Intimidate, so I can Intimidate this. And I think he's actually just going to go for the Will-O-Wisp. I don't think he could go hard Wild Charge, but then from the recoil and the poison damage, he'll go down. So I think he'll go for the Will-O-Wisp here. It's just an all-around safer play. And again, since I do have the leftovers on Zapdos and my Zapdos is a special attacker, I'm okay with it getting burned. So I'm just going to pivot right back in right here. And yep, he does go for the Will-O-Wisp. So Yeah, now that Zapdos is burned, we can actually use it as a status absorber, which is really cool. That way he can't status it with like, well, I guess this is really his only status area except maybe Drifblim. So I'm just going to Volt Switch here again. Goes for another Morning Sun, that's fine. Since Morning Sun heals 50% of his health, and my Volt Switch is doing about 50% of his health, he's technically losing health every turn. And I'm going to go back into Gyarados just because I could also go into Clefable, but since Clefable doesn't have Calm Mind, it doesn't really have the potential to set up. Okay, Electricity disappeared. And he's low, so if he lets me get off the attack, he could just lose his Rapidash. However, I think he can justify, because like what I'm thinking is he might predict me to double again and go for another Morning Sun, which would be a fine play. But um, if he doesn't attack here, or Will-O-Wisp here, and I go for the Waterfall and knock out his Rapidash, he no longer has anything that can safely switch into Clefable bar that Ferroseed, but of course the Ferroseed doesn't have reliable recovery, it only has the Leech Seed. So I think he's going to play a little bit safer and either double out or go for the Will-O-Wisp again, just to hinder my Gyarados, because I don't think he wants nothing out of this turn. I think he wants to get something out of this turn. Yeah, so he does go for the Will-O-Wisp, because if I just attacked there, he would lose his he would basically lose his Rapidash and gain nothing out of it if he tried to predict my switch. So now I pretty much get a free Volt Switch. He could go for the Inferno Overdrive. I half expect him to. However, I don't really need this Zapdos to wall anything anymore. Basically, his main job was to wall this Rapidash. And if he does go for the Morning Sun, like he does right there, I basically get to knock it out because I'll do about 50% and then the Poison will finish him off. So the question is, what do we want to go into after that? He still has the Zygarde, Ferroseed, Drifblim. I'm going to go into Escavalier because Escavalier baits in the Drifblim, right? Because everything doesn't do enough damage to OHKO it, and it can finish off pretty much everything at this point. It threatens an OHKO on Raichu, it threatens to knock off the Ferroseed, and the Zygarde's at 50%, so Drifblim being able to possibly burn it if he does still have Will-O-Wisp on it. We did see that he had Will-O-Wisp on it in our previous battle. Being able to burn my Escavalier could be really important for him in this battle. So no, he's going to go into Tapu Koko, which is a fair play. If this is dual screens just like last time, that's probably what he's going to be going for. He could also attack, but we do still have the Assault Vest on this thing, so even a Life Orb Thunderbolt won't 2-hit KO us. If he does do more than 50%, then we know he's Choice Specs, but he does go for the Volt Switch, and based on that damage, he's not Choice Specs. So, and of course, we didn't see the Life Orb recoil either, so he's no boosting item, which is fine. He didn't go for a dual screen, so it's possible he doesn't have dual screens. However, it's possible that he just didn't feel comfortable going for them, didn't feel like they would get him much in that situation, which is fine. He does have the Ferroseed, which he can switch in right here. It'll take an Iron Head. It won't do too much, but it will. Okay, it goes into Wild Card. This is Drifblim. Yep, this is Drifblim. And since he does get the Electric Seed boost, this actually won't do as much, which is okay. This will still do around 30-35%. Yep. And of course, we don't want to get burned. This thing doesn't really threaten too much damage onto my Zapdos. Of course, Zapdos is already burned, so it can't be burned again. And we can just Volt Switch. He could Destiny Bond and knock out my Zapdos, but again, Zapdos' main goal here was to prevent the its main goal was to prevent the Rapidash from sweeping, so if he does knock out the Zapdos, that's not the worst thing in the world. We have other ways of dealing with his stuff, like Ferroseed and stuff like that. So we're just going to Volt Switch here, as I assume he goes for the Destiny Bond. He could also pivot out into his Zygarde, but since we do have the Toxic Spikes up, the Zygarde will just end up getting poisoned. Yep, so he does Destiny Bond. So this probably will kill, even though we don't get the Electric Terrain boost. It is super effective. It is stab, and Drifbloom's not necessarily super bulky without a boost in his SPDF from a possible Siege. So yeah, it is going to knock out the Drifbloom right there, and we are going to lose Zapdos, but Zapdos did his job. It got 2 kills. That's all it needed to do. Well, unless you consider the fact that the poison killed the Rapidash, in which case Nidoking got that kill. But back into Escavalier, because now he really doesn't have anything that immediately threatens Escavalier. He's probably going into Raichu here if I had to guess. Nope, he goes back into Tapu Koko, which is fine. Probably because he doesn't have a Volt Switch on his Raichu. I assume he just wants the ability to Volt Switch in case he doesn't like the matchup. I'm just going to Iron Head again. He doesn't really have anything. Again, like this just threatens his entire team. Um, whether it be with big damage or the fact that he's going to be going into a Pokemon that doesn't. Okay, so it goes into a Zygarde, probably on a sack, if I had to guess. Because after poison and the Iron Head damage, this thing should be going down. Escavalier is by no means a weak Pokemon. Yep, so that puts him within poison range, and he goes down. And I'm guessing the Raichu is coming in here. We are within range of a Raichu's attack, but I'm okay with sacking my Escavalier here. Or am I? Well, okay, let's see. Yeah, I am. Because what I was thinking was if we don't knock off the what is that thing? Ferroseeds. If we don't knock off the Ferroseeds, Eviolite could wall us, but since we do still have that Nidoking alive, we actually aren't as threatened by the Yep, so that does knock us out. We're not as threatened by the Ferroseed as we would be because we still have the potential to just Flamethrower and knock it out with our Nidoking. So saving Nidoking was actually pretty important there. Not important, because obviously we didn't need to do that, but it allows us to sack Escavalier in that situation. So into Tangela we go. We're just going to Giga Drain here. I assume he's just going to Psychic. He could switch into Ferroseed, which would be fine, but that doesn't really get him much. Because he can't Leech Seed me. I guess he could Spike. Okay, he just Volt Switches. That's fine. It doesn't do too much damage, and he is going to take the Life Orb recoil. I doubt he's going into Tapu Koko. He could if he wants to set up screens. If that's, again, what his Koko does. Yep, he does go into Koko. Okay. Well, we are going to get the Giga Drain chip on him. We are also going to recover some HP, and we will get the chip from the poison as well. So, I don't think we've seen a Z move yet. Last time he was the Z move Rapidash, so he could have been that as well. Yep, he does go for a light screen, so it does look like he is dual screens Tapu Koko again, which is fine. We are going to go for the Sludge Bomb here, and that alongside Poison might be able to knock him out. It's going to be close. Okay, he just barely hangs on. That's fine, because now he's within range of Poison again. I can just go for a Giga Drain here in case he wants to Volt Switch back into Raichu. So he does go for the Volt Switch. And I doubt it's into the Raichu just because Raichu doesn't really threaten enough damage onto me. So it's probably into the Ferroseed. Although the Ferroseed doesn't really threaten enough damage onto me either. And if he does go into Ferroseed, I can actually just go hard into my Gyarados. Because as long as his Koko and Raichu are still alive, Gyarados can't sweep because he can set up the Electric Terrain again. So it's very smart of him to keep his Tapu Koko alive. He actually does go hard into Raichu. So, I mean, Raichu does do more damage to Tangela than it does do more damage to Tangela than Ferroseed would. However, it can't beat me 1v1 because it is poisoned. So and the electric terrain wears off. Not like that matters because he's not going to be clicking electric type moves here. We're just going to go for another Giga Drain. He might go, nope, he goes for the Psyshock. Okay. I was going to say he might Volt Switch again just to go into his Ferroseed and not have to take damage. But after Poison plus Giga Drain plus the Life Orb Recoil, I think his Raichu, nope, he's going to live one more turn, which is fine. Um, but yeah, I have no reason to switch Tangela out here. He just goes for another Psyshock. Wants to get as much damage on Tangela as possible, but considering the Raichu goes down here and the Tapu Koko is within one hit from Poison, if it has Roost, I guess this we might want to save for Tangela. So if it goes Tapu Koko here, I'll switch into Clefable. Okay. Simply because if he has Roost, he can actually keep his Tapu Koko around, which isn't like super bad, but that can prevent our it threatens damage onto our Gyarados, which is going to be our switch into that Ferroseed. So we're just going to go hard Clefable here. He goes for the Volt Switch. That's fine. This is going to do a chunk. Yep, that does around 50%. But this basically gets us regen on our it gets us regen on our Tangela, so we can switch back into that thing on the Tapu Koko. So into Gyarados, we're going to go here. He's probably going to Leech Seed, but I'm okay with that because we're just going to be able to click Fire Blast. And if the Tapu Koko switches in, it's too low to take Fire Blast. So as long as we can, actually, the Tapu Koko can't switch in because even if we miss Fire Blast, it'll die to Poison. So, yep, he does go for the Leech Seed. There's no real point in Dragon Dancing here though, so we're just going to click Fire Blast. He could protect, which he probably will, but it's a little too late. Because like even if he manages to take down my Gyarados somehow, we just go into Nidoking. Yep, so we do get the Fire Blast off and connect. This will do at least 50%. Yep. And he goes for the Gyro Ball just to get damage, probably expecting me to set up in that situation, which is fine. So our Fire Blast did come into play, catching him off guard. But yeah, basically, even if he does manage to stall out my Gyarados by dodging Fire Blasts, I will just send in my Nidoking, and as soon as this Tapu Koko comes in, I switch right into Tangela, and should be able to stall him out with Poison plus damage from Giga Drain and stuff like that. So he's going to protect there. That is fine. That will allow him to, after Leech Seed Recovery, take another Fire Blast. However, even after I potentially lose my Gyarados, we can just go right into Nidoking. Alright, we get another Fire Blast off. It does connect and does big damage again. He goes for another Gyro Ball. Doesn't do too much. But that, along with the Leech Seed damage, is racking up. It will inevitably take out my Gyarados if I do not connect this next Fire Blast. But again, that's okay, because I should have the game locked up by now. He does protect, that is fine. Since Ferroseed does not have the ability Pressure, he can't actually PP stall my Fire Blast, so. And yeah, it looks like he'll need either a double protect in order to possibly live this next Fire Blast, or to dodge this next Fire Blast. I'm still going to go for it. It's just the safest and best play all around. He's going to withdraw Ferroseed, going off of the dodge. However, with the Poison, I don't think it matters too much. And yeah, it does look like he's unable to dodge the Fire Blast right there as well. So we are going to be able to knock out the Tapu Koko on the switch right there. And yeah, we can just launch off another Fire Blast right here. He's probably going to protect, yeah. So he's going for living another Fire Blast, hoping that maybe I don't have Flamethrower on my Nidoking, but it looks like saving Nidoking was really helpful in this game because we will be able to just go right into it after this. After our Gyarados goes down, which if we land another Fire Blast, it looks like it's gonna be a roll on the Ferroseed, and we do. So we land all our Fire Blasts, which is pretty lucky. And yeah, it does look like we are able to get the roll to knock it out. And that is going to be good game. So Fire Blast, Gyarados coming through in the end to pick up the last 2 KOs. GG to my opponent, and we will be moving on to the semifinals next week. So thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed it. Uh, Good game to my opponent. I mean, he played very well, and like pretty much the surprise factor. I think when he looked at my team, he saw the same 6 Pokemon and thought they all had the same sets. So I think the surprise factor was what won me that game. The fact that he didn't expect Fire Blast on Gyarados or Toxic Spikes on Nidoking. So yeah, good game to my opponent. And I will see you guys next week for the semifinals. So see you guys later.